All right, we'll start with the nation. Lawmakers seek power to invite presidents and governors. El Rufai, resources in terrorist hands can subvert Nigeria. Al-Makura, two others reject APC zoning consensus. Oyo government seals Premier Hotel. 2 policemen, 5 others killed in multiple attacks on banks. 7 SANs, 16 others applied to be Supreme Court justices. Okay, which story are we starting with? The nation? Mariam? Okay.
Armed robbers yesterday evening attacked 4 commercial banks in Uromi, Ishan Northeast Council of Edo State. They killed 7 persons and made away with unspecified amount of money. So I think 2 policemen and 5 civilians were killed. They said it was a coordinated attack. They planned it so well that there was no security operative who was able to withstand them. And they went into these banks, blew up with dynamite, and made their way in. So they kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and this operation lasted for about 3 hours. They said one of the banks was very close to a police station, and for that 3 hours, no policeman was seen around to deter them. So they made away with the money. They came with a lot of SUVs. I think they packed the money in one of the silver SUVs, and that was how they left. So the police spokesman has confirmed the death of the men, and so far we haven't heard anything. So I hope that they will start, chasing after them, investigation, so that they can hold them to. It was really, I saw a viral video on social media, and it seems like there were more than just that 7 people that died.
All right, so the major head, you want to take another story?
Yes, at the weekly ministerial briefing organized by the presidential media team at the presidential villa in Abuja, the governor of Kaduna State, we're talking about terrorism, banditry, insurgency in Nigeria. He said that even though, he says in Kaduna, while 937 were killed, 1,972 kidnapped by bandits in 2020, a total of 1,192 have been killed and 3,348 people kidnapped just last year. He says that terrorism, especially those involved in banditry and kidnapping, have adapted their crime in such a way that it's now just for business. They have turnovers, and some of these, which is better for them than the cattle breeding that they were, they used to do. So they have left their legitimate cattle breeding to go into banditry. And there have been sources that, investigation have shown that some of this money is gotten from the kidnapping is used to now finance insurgencies, Boko Haram in other parts of the country. He says that also the way that the governors have tried to solve the issue is that some of them thought that they could negotiate with these bandits, but they have seen that it was a mistake because these people cannot be trusted. Also, he said that there's likelihood that there are traitors, within us. That means people that are in the military and the police who may be conniving with people like this, and that's why this problem is so widespread. And just asking, for different ways to handle this and better strategies. All
right, I was going to take the major headline, which is just still reviewing the constitutional review that we're talking about. Remember, they're going to vote on it by Tuesday, but the nation was just picking out a few things they'll be voting on, one of which is the tough conditions for independent candidacy. They're going to, according to this new revision, they'll require 20% of signatures of registered voters. I don't know how they're going to get that, but those are tough conditions for independent candidacy. And they're also saying that they're reviewing the fact that lawmakers can actually summon the president, and also the House of Senate can summon the governor to come and answer questions on issues of national security and others. So this is still reminding Nigerians of how important these next few days are, and we need to pressure our lawmakers to vote right by Tuesday.
We need to be aware of the far-reaching impacts of what's going on. There's a short story about, your state, the shutdown of Premier Hotel. Apparently, because of environmental, they said for environmental reasons, they broke environmental laws. They shut down Premier Hotel, they shut down an event center and 8 shops. I'm excited that we are paying attention to implementation of the laws so that people would be deterred from disobeying environmental laws. This is the only word we have.
The punch, Russia, Ukraine was stranded. Nigeria sent SOS to Buhari and demand evacuation. Bring back Nigerians in Ukraine, reps tell president. Pregnant housewife fakes kidnap, buys house with ransom from Facebook lover. Police arrest Ogun housewife who killed husband with hot water. Mob stones Lagos task force, lynches officer for impounding motorcycles. I won't exceed 2023, I swore by the Quran, says Buhari. Oyo may produce APC National Secretary Governor's Plan meeting. Buhari ignorance of Southwest infrastructure problems, says Afenifere. APC discusses zoning presidency to South, says El Rufai. And Nigeria loses 10.6% of value annually, says IMF. Okay. Let's start.
The story
interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. You people help us to hear this. A lady, a 25-year-old woman, Jamila Ado, has been arrested and remanded for allegedly kidnapping herself. So she is a married woman from Adamawa State and got into this relationship with this man in Abuja. He thought she was single. She never, divulged that she was married, and they carried on a relationship. And they said the relationship took them, I think, a year. And then one day he gets a call to say that she had been kidnapped, and a ransom of 2 million naira was to be paid into an account. He did that, but he said he became suspicious after, the ransom was paid. She came to say, yes, so she had been freed. And so he filed a complaint at the police station, and that's when investigation started. Her own husband, because when she got the 2 million naira, she now used it to buy a house. Her husband had asked her, Madam, where did you get this money from? She said, her relative sent her this money. Oh, so that's how investigation started. They found that she abducted herself, collected ransom, she and a friend, and now she's going to answer. Facebook.
People are thinking.
People are
very creative. I mean, this is a
creative. They can be creative for negativity. Yeah. And that same creativity can be deployed positively to develop, to make the money they're looking for.
Wow. Let me take the major headlines. So we all know about the Russian invasion into Ukraine yesterday morning by the early hours, 5 a.m. yesterday. Russia obviously invaded Ukraine, and obviously many countries are trying to get out their citizens. Nigerian. Also, the president of the Nigerians in Ukraine, actually, I think she's the acting president. Her name is Eunice Eleaka, wrote an SOS to the president to remove and evacuate all Nigerian citizens, especially those students who are schooling in Ukraine, as soon as possible. And she said she's in Nigeria, and I think according to her story, they got feels of the fact that there might be an invasion. So she told her parents about 2 weeks earlier. They sent her tickets, and she left the country. But she was now saying that many people didn't adhere to that, didn't move out because of the expense of the tickets. It was quite expensive for them to move. They're asking the president to please plan, just like India did, move some of their citizens into Poland and then en route to get them out of India, out of Ukraine. But we know that the Minister of Foreign Affairs have also said they're definitely working hard to get, as soon as they can get an airport, which is willing to let their planes land, they'll evacuate Nigeria. So they're working hard to see where. It's not all parts of Ukraine that's gotten the invasion yet. Yeah. There are some Nigerians who are living in certain parts of Ukraine, I think it's the western part of Ukraine, that are still safe, relatively safe, but it might be a good idea to begin to think of evacuating as soon as possible. So, and we're going to talk to some of our guests later on this matter. So let's move on to another story.
Yes, a paramilitary officer attached to the Lagos State Environmental and Special Offences Unit Task Force, Monday John, was killed during an attack on the agency around Kara Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So they had a raid of all these motorcycle people, motorcyclists plying the highway, and they seized some of their motorcycles, loaded it, and headed to another area, I think around Bega, to continue the raid. So the motorcyclists were not having it. They mobilized themselves, took a bus, and chased them down. When they got there, they started fighting the security officials, were stoning them with wood and everything. And so while those ones were running away, they left one behind, and the mob attacked this man and killed him. Now threw him in a river.
Whoa!
This is because we're becoming animals. We are becoming animals. I don't know how else governments can, you know, keep laws and enforce the laws. They are saying they don't want bikes here, and I know it's for a reason. So now that they are seizing the bikes, isn't it like, shouldn't we have like an appeal? Okay, even if you don't want us to ride these bikes here, give us our bikes back. We'll go somewhere else. Why do you have to resort to killing a human being and throwing him away? It's, I don't know.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll go on to other stories. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Daily Sun. 2023 businessmen to buy form for Shimbajo Emefiele under pressure. How gunmen killed policemen, 8 others in Enugu. Will reclaim PDP mandate, Ihedioha assures Imo people. Soldiers killed 139 terrorists, kidnappers, bandits in 2 weeks, says Defense Headquarters. Afenifere hits Buhari over trekking from Lagos to Ibadan. 1.9 people living with HIV in Nigeria, says Nigeria BUCAA. And Okwebi plane crash aircraft didn't have sufficient fuel to destination, AIB investigation reveals. Okay, which story are we taking?
The Nigerian Business Coalition Against AIDS, NIBUCA, has raised the alarm that 1.9 million Nigerians were living with the human immune virus, that's HIV, and they are calling for more testing kits and increased education and awareness to stem the spread of the disease. They said out of that 1.6 million, he said out of the figure, only 1.6 million were receiving treatment, and as at 2019, 53,000 people had died from HIV AIDS-related disease. He also said that many Nigerians do not know their HIV status, which also increases further transmission of that disease. So they had a capacity building and awareness on HIV testing yesterday, where they reeled out all of these numbers. And according to the International Labour Organization, which actually organized the event, they are saying that we need to carry out more testings, we need to create more awareness, because it seems like everybody is carried away with COVID-19. Nobody is really paying attention to HIV/AIDS. I've never really done till like 2 months ago, where I needed it for some biometrics, and they said, okay, we're going to do all the tests. That was the first time I was doing HIV/AIDS with all the shouting.
You must have also done it when you were pregnant.
I didn't know. I didn't pay attention. But we need to know our status and curb the spread.
So if you recall the Okwebi plane crash, remember that helicopter, the Bell 206 helicopter 5NBQW, which went down in Okwebi, Lagos a few years ago. So the Accident Investigation Bureau of Nigeria have come out to say that what happened was that it didn't have sufficient fuel to reach its destination, and the pilot just felt that it could just manage to get there, and unfortunately it went down. So it should have actually had an emergency landing the moment he noticed that his fuel was actually low. Well, maybe he felt that he could just still manage to get to the airport, and that's what happened. So he was saying that going forward, the Nigerian Civil Aviation should ensure that operator certificates are issued, and those who wish to combine the flight duty with multiple posts must ensure the operations they have some kind of safety mitigation measures to ensure this doesn't happen again.
We like to play with our lives in this part of the world.
That's what we've heard so far concerning the story.
Any other story you want to take?
Yeah, I wanted to take the president. So on Tuesday, we heard the president talk about that Nigeria would, people would have been trekking from Lagos to Ibadan if they hadn't done the intervention of the rail and improving the roads. And the Afenifere public secretary, Mr. Jare Ajayi in Ibadan, responded to that and saying that was, let me use his word, height of unpardonable exaggeration. That the fact that people there are not as many people using the train as compared to the road, and that there are many other areas in the southwest that don't have train and people are not trekking. And he mentioned the fact that it should deal with the other issues, major issues, the fact that the economy is shrinking, the agriculture, the comatose agricultural practices due to largely terrorism and their terroristic activities, issues of politics, that there are many issues. He just found this unpardonably exaggerated statement.
Moving on quick to Vanguard. Why military is reluctant to wipe out bandits, says El Rufai. Eco Bridge, Lagos government diverts traffic for 6 months. MAFA finally pays $273 million license fee. raises hope of the 5G deployment. 2023, I'm fit to rule Nigeria, says Tinubu. AIB blames Quorum helicopter crash on insufficient fuel. 2 policemen, 5 others killed as robbers raid 4 banks in Edo. An FG to evacuate Nigerians from Ukraine, says Onyema. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Starting from Saturday, the 5th of March 2022, the Eco Bridge is going to be closed and traffic will be diverted while that area is getting fixed. It's a comprehensive repair work from Alaka Agbogbon Axis, and the statement was released by the, Dr. Frederick Oladeinde, the Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos. I know, Mariam, there's no way she won't be affected by this because that's her zone. Everybody within that area should just be aware that it will probably take a longer time for you to do what you usually would have done in a shorter time anyway. And we know it's for the best. Lagos is undergoing major construction work that is undeniable and would have to bear with the inconvenience that's
going to cost us.
Yeah. It's just that there's also blockage on the other side, like the Yaba side and everything. It would be nice if one side was done. So now we'll be blocked on that side and on
the other side. Wow.
Abba Kyari. So the federal court sitting in Abuja has ordered NDLA to respond within 48 hours to an application by Abba Kyari's team. And he's asking for bail, to be released on bail on health grounds. And also he said that he asked for that, and then other things he asked for. He said, among other things, praying the court to order the federal government to pay him 500 million naira and also tender a written apology to him in 2 national dailies for the unlawful violation of his fundamental human rights. He's also praying the court for a declaration that arrest and continued detention of Abba Kyari by NDLEA without bringing him before a court of competent jurisdiction since the 12th is illegal and unlawful and a gross violation of the applicant's fundamental human rights. There's so many other things that he says that he's being that the torture, degrading, and inhuman treatment given to the applicant is unlawful, and just so many other things. It's very interesting. Police officers, they understand the law, they understand it very well. Many times when Nigerians are caught up in things like this, where they are locked up against, not following the lawful or legal, sometimes say, oh, they're not properly trained, they don't know. But they know when it comes to them, they will list everything, that is in the law. So we hope that this thing is done neatly and cleanly. I want NDLEA to do it in such a way that this case is not thrown out.
There's a sad story here. A 39-year-old visually impaired woman, Mrs. Abidemi Sanyolu, is lamenting the death of her 14-year-old son. This happened on November 4, 2021. The boy who just got admission to get into secondary school, and he was on midterm. So what she usually does is, when the boy is on midterm, he has to learn a trade. So he was with one of the mechanics to learn how to repair tires. When all of a sudden she started hearing noises, people were running helter-skelter. But this boy, when he's on midterm, helps her around movement in the house. So she was already happy that my son is on midterm and everything. And then the husband came in, was crying. He didn't tell her anything. She had to call the pastor. The pastor, finally, they told her that if a policeman had an issue with motorcyclists again, they were dragging 100 naira. And all of a sudden, the police started shooting.
I think I remember.
And while people were running helter-skelter, this boy was hit by a bullet. He went through the back and came out, from the stomach. Everything was scattered on the floor. She said till now, the police has not come to give an apology. They have not done anything for her. In fact, the only time the DSP called her was to tell her to drop the case. So she's really asking that she gets justice. The boy is still in the mortuary till date. And they had filed a 1 billion suit before an Ikeja High Court of Lagos to demand justice for 14-year-old Mubarak killed by police admiral. I think people need to follow this case.
A 14-year-old child, and some police officer, just because of his recklessness, shoots him dead, and nobody says anything.
Nobody says anything.
In this country,
it's unfair. We need to take this off.
That's all we can take. In fact, that story just depressed me. That's all we can take. See you after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.